there is a kind of image, self-image that you must develop. All right. And if you're afraid to approach a lady, maybe you should. I would say maybe you shouldn't, because there are people who are of marriageable age and are still afraid. So, but there are more urgent things. And here is what I want to say. You see, having a girlfriend should not be the biggest achievement in your life. Listen, I know the music industry has sold the idea that that's all there is to life. You know, all the songs are about one lady or another, Ifunaya, Chiamaka, Amaka or something, and you know, particularly in this part of the world, it's usually Igbo girls. I don't know, but hey, when it all comes down to it, marriage shouldn't be the biggest achievement of your life. And here is one thing you need to realize: behavioral skills are more generic than people realize. So if you are scared to walk up to a lady and tell her how you feel, there are very likely several other things that you have not done. Because I mean, if you get great at some other things, it will affect every other aspect of your life. I know you've heard it 1,000 times. A lot of relationship coaches, the Christian ones, say, well, before God gave Adam a wife, he gave Adam a job. As cliche as it might seem, it's very powerful and very profound. So you want to ask yourself, what have I done with my life? What are the challenges that I've faced? Because those things build confidence. Have you started a business? Have you started, even if it's a reading group in school or something like that, you must have laid your hands on something. I'm a pastor and this is a Christian channel. Have you won a soul before? Because I mean, if you have tried to tell people about Jesus, it shouldn't be so hard to tell people about yourself. You know, so you just realize that being comfortable in your purpose will help you in more ways than you can realize. And let me tell you this was my personal experience, because when I got born again, I just realized every aspect of my life changed. I became more confident, you know, because you know how the Bible says, Jesus said to Peter, you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. Finding Jesus is finding yourself. When you find Jesus, your sense of self-worth, you know, comes to another level, and that affects your romantic life. You see, the Bible says, husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, meaning before I look for a wife, I should know the love of Christ. You know, and so you have to see how your purpose in God, you know, your sense of self-worth, first and foremost in God, you know, helps every other aspect of your life. Christian faith is more practical than people give it credit for. All right. So apart from all those serious things I said, like starting a business, trying to sell a product to someone, you know, those are the things that build your confidence. But simple things like having a hobby, getting really great at something, you know, don't try to use a lady to build your self-esteem, you know, or to reassure yourself of your esteem. It's going to be a terrible, terrible mistake you're going to make. All right, so don't try to do that. If you get yourself engaged in other valuable things in life, you just realize that it will filter into every other aspect of your life. All right, I just want to reiterate for the sake of emphasis, don't try to use a woman or another person to build your self-worth in life. Then the second is like unto it. I'm using Bible language. The second thing I want to say is don't try too hard. Don't try too hard. You know, and I know that sounds counterintuitive, but it's very profound, and I'm sure that ladies, you know, in the comments will agree with me that trying too hard is a turn off. All right, and this is what the first point would do for you. You know, when you already have a sense of self-worth and all of that, when you approach a lady, you're going to be comfortable in your own skin. And let me tell you this, don't tell anyone I told you, that's attractive. All right, that's attractive. Listen, you might have read 100 books on approaching ladies, you know, on dating and all of that. But I will tell you one thing for sure. If you are confident, you already have it, have what you need, 80%. You see, and I don't think it's too early to say this. I wanted to say this much later, but you see, pickup lines. If you try pickup lines, you might be digging your grave. And some people do it and get away with it, and I will tell you why. You see, many guys, when they want to approach, ladies, because guys scientifically are likely to be more logical, and ladies are likely to be more emotional, so they are likely to be fixated. Guys are likely to be fixated on the words and what they say, but ladies are likely to be focused on how comfortable you are, what vibe you are letting off. That's what matters. And that's why for many people who have great relationships, it's not even as if they say the right things all the time. They're just comfortable, and the lady has come to be comfortable with them and to trust them, and that's why even some of the wrong things they say, they get away with it, and all of that. Let me say this. I once read a behavioral experiment. I don't know if I said this in the first part or not, and in this experiment, I think there were 3 guys. They were shown the picture of a lady, and each of them was asked to say, in terms of percentage, how interested they are in the lady. So the first said 20%, the second said 50%, and the third said 100%. Now, when they gave the profiles, and all the guys, by the way, had similar profiles, they all looked good, great jobs, and all of that. And when they gave the profiles of the guys to the lady, in all the cases, in all the experiments, the lady was drawn towards the guy who was least interested. It's just funny. Now, this might not be the case all the time, but it's the case most of the time. Scientifically, it's proven that guys who are not head over heels, just spark up a kind of curiosity in the ladies, so and that's something you might want to consider. So people who are just really sincere and they just try too hard, they end up jeopardizing their chances many times. You are sincere and you don't understand what is happening, and that's why sometimes you wonder why all the bad guys seem to be having no problem at all, dating who they want and all of that, and the good sincere guys are asking ladies out, church girls and all of that, and no one is agreeing.